Utawarerumono Prelude to the Fallen has finally arrived in the West to recomplete the trilogy it started all the way back in 2002. For the uninformed, Prelude to the Fallen is just as the name is implied, a prequel of things to come in future installments. So if you haven't played Mask of Deception or Mask of Truth, by all means start here, this is where the story truly begins. Now, what is that story? You see, our main character wakes up with no memory of anything, and he has a mask permanently stuck to his face. In waking up, he's being healed by a woman with anthropomorphic features. In fact, everyone has anthropomorphic features, but him. If this sounds familiar, well, this is exactly how Mask of Deception starts off. However, this is an entirely different set of characters. As the story progresses, you'll come to understand who and where our character originates from. While I should give a more proper synopsis for this game in regards to what actually happens, well, Utawarerumono is a visual novel first and an SRPG second. With that, the story starts off very slowly, as we're just getting used to all the villagers that we now live with and taking in all the culture. But after a while, once a certain event happens, the world changes pretty fast and hard. As mentioned before, this is a visual novel first and foremost. That said, I'd say the split is about 70-30 in regards to novel versus actual gameplay segments. However, you are able to do free battles anytime you want to break up the monotony, but the story definitely won't leave you bored though, that I can be certain of. The SRPG segments aren't necessarily anything too unique, pretty bog standard stuff. Movement is on a grid-based system, with damage being determined by the position of the character. Speaking of positioning, under certain conditions you can actually have 2 or more characters do a co-op attack to do massive damage to an opponent, as well as cause any potential side effects. Outside of that, what really separates this from the others is Zeal. You can think of Zeal as almost like a special attack gauge in which it builds up when timing your attacks correctly, as well as when you receive damage. Once the gauge is full, you or your opponent will be able to launch an extra powerful attack, either in the form of just another attack in the combo chain, or a very powerful final strike which does a ton of damage. As this is a remake of the original, there really isn't a whole lot added. All of the CGs and character portraits have been re-res to support HD, sure, but considering everyone's level up portrait has clearly been changed, makes it seem a bit half-baked in that regard, as it doesn't really match the original look, but I digress. To make up for that, songs from the other 2 games as well as some from the anime are included, which does freshen up things a bit. But considering the West never officially got the first Utawarerumono game outside of a fan translation, this only works if you want a more familiar soundtrack if you've played the other games already. Normally in a review, I'd discuss things like the technical performance, but here, there's no reason to, since again, it's a visual novel and an SRPG, so it's not like the game will chug in any capacity. Now when it comes down to it, while I did say we never got the first game, we did get the anime adaptation all those years ago, and if you're in the US at least, you can view it on Funimation's website. With that, you do have options in regards to how you want to start the series, as the 2006 anime is a really good adaptation. Personally, I tend to just go to the source material, but that's just me. When Utawarerumono Mask of Deception was first announced for a Western release, my reviewer watched the anime for the original series, so he could understand why people were so excited about it. Next thing he knew, he watched it all in one sitting and was moved beyond belief. Then he reviewed Mask of Deception and sang it praises, and then after that he reviewed Mask of Truth, and basically this franchise became one of his top favorites. And after going through all this again, his feelings have not changed. Utawarerumono's storytelling and world building just feels so unique and natural. Its characters are all lovable and I can't get enough of them. Aqua Plus has been hedging their bets and doubling down on the franchise lately, and as long as the series stays at this level of quality, then I'm all for it. And that does it for our review of Utawarerumono Prelude to the Fallen. If you have any comments or questions about the game or the review, by all means leave them down in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you guys on this. Also, if you're new to my channel, finding me for the first time through this review, hey, be sure to subscribe for future reviews, commentaries, let's plays, and more. And if you really love what I do here, consider becoming a YouTube member or a patron on Patreon, like these wonderful people here on screen. And as always everyone, thanks for watching.